My name's Danny Purvis. This is my wife, Kimberly. And in June, we've been married for 26 years. Wow. I'm one of those rare people that I can honestly say without a moment's hesitation that on the day we got married, there was nobody on the planet that knew me better than my wife did. Nobody, not my family, nobody else. That's a pretty rare occurrence to have. And so to think where you guys must have it all together. And look, is it perfect? No. It seems perfect a lot of times, but the reality is it isn't. And basic principles that I think has been most important, I know to Kimberly and I, and to others, the aspect that marriage brings to a marriage relationship is this idea of intent. Is being intentional about our marriage. That's one thing, even after all the years we've been together, it's what we didn't know that we didn't know that until we started going through this curriculum. And it's amazing because when you look at your life in general, not just the marriage aspect of it, but when you look at your life in general and you think about how intentional we are about so many things in our lives that are not nearly as important as our relationship with our spouse, it begins to kind of shed some light on it. Let me ask you something. How many of people in here have smartphones? Raise your hand. Oh, they're great, aren't they? Oh, smartphones are outstanding. I don't own one. I don't have one. But what I do have is an iPod. And one of my favorite apps on my iPod, I bet, is one of the favorite apps you have on your smartphone. Raise your hand in here if you have a weather app on your. Yeah, do you use it? Do you use it like all the time? Yeah, so do I. Over little things like going to work. I want to find out what the weather's going to be like, right? So I probably use that app more than anything else. And isn't it interesting that for something as mundane as what the weather's going to be over the next 3 or 4 or 5 days, I'll spend that much intent on trying to find something out. But when it comes to my own marriage and how my wife's doing, I don't engage that same intent. One of the examples that I use with the Marines that come into my office and they're about to get married, and I talk to them about being intentional in their relationship with their spouse, is I always ask them the same question. I'll say, let's say you're going to stay in the Marine Corps for 20 years. In that 20 years, tell me when you will stop training. In that 20-year period. And they'll always say the same thing. Well, we'll never stop training. We'll always train. And I said, okay, that's 20 years. When you're about to get married, how long are you supposed to be married for? And they'll say forever. And I'll say, how much training do you get for that? And you see, and it kind of gives a little bit perspective, right? Because perspective is everything in life, and especially in a relationship. You ever heard the joke about perspective? The joke goes like this. What did the snail say when he was riding on the turtle's back? Whee! Right? Now, to us, the turtle's really slow. Right? To the snail, it's the fastest he's ever been in his life. Perspective, the daily temperature reading gives us, I think, for me, has given us perspective in our relationship. Temperature, like everything else in pairs, the daily temperature reading actually has a process to it. A lot of the questions I get is, why does it have to be a process? Doesn't having a good marriage just come natural? I've had people ask me that question before, and I'm not really sure that I can answer that in the way that they want me to answer it. But the answer for me is no. It doesn't just come natural. There is some intent that we have to do with it in order to get that perspective. And the daily temperature reading is one of the things that helps us be able to exercise that intent, to include that intent in our relationship. Because some of the things that come up can be kind of volatile, and because they can be very difficult to talk about, for me, I've noticed personally that the structure actually diffuses some of the situation. I'm so interested in following the structure that sometimes it de-escalates, that in and of itself, just following the structure sort of de-escalates some of the tension that's going through. I don't want you to get the wrong idea about this. This is not schmoozing the person because you're getting ready to level them. This is genuine appreciation. I think whenever we have a conversation with someone that we love, if they don't understand how much we appreciate them, I'm not sure how much they're going to pay attention to the rest of the stuff that we say. Amen. That has been the case with me. So when you're looking at the daily temperature reading, and this is something that you're going to want to do on a regular basis, and I hope you're going to want to do on a regular basis, the first thing you start out with is appreciation. Something just it can be something. I appreciate the way you take care of the house. I appreciate the way you listen to me. I appreciate the way you took out the garbage. I appreciate the way that you fill in the blank. It could be something small, it could be something big, it could be something in the middle, but beginning with some sort of word of appreciation. Because I think that sets the tone for being able to talk about whatever's going to come up in the course of this daily temperature reading.